Spring has sprung and the air is filled with promise of warmer weather after a bitterly cold winter. I know it's not yet over, but the change in date gives us hope. Assalamu alaikum and welcome to An Nur the Light. Renewable energy is becoming the catchphrase of the 21st century. As resources are overexploited, new ways are needed to power our homes and industry. We went to find out more about this.
The quest for alternative energy sources has led to an increase in renewable energy technology, and this sector currently supplies 28% of the world's energy. South Africa is not being left behind and currently houses one of the fastest growing renewable energy sectors in the world.
Renewable energy is growing exponentially in South Africa, and currently statistics released by the Global Wind Energy Council by the end of 2015 shows that South Africa is up to 1.2 gigawatts of wind energy being supplied into South Africa's national grid. And the Department of Energy, in terms of subsequent rounds of procuring renewable energy, have increased the allocation of renewable energy, over the next five to 8 years. And renewable energy is going to be a significant part of South Africa's energy mix going into the future.
Job opportunities coupled with a skill shortage in the sector are booming, and it is with this in mind that the South African Renewable Energy Technology Centre, or SABC, as it's known, was set up. It is a national training centre and the first of its kind in Africa that will ensure the country maximises the full potential of renewable energy opportunities.
SABC is a specialized renewable energy training center with a primary focus of training wind turbine service technicians and solar PV technicians for the South African industry. SABC is unique in that it is a one-of-a-kind training center, especially in the Southern Hemisphere. There is no other type of renewable energy training center like it. The uniqueness stems from the mere fact that SABC has a live turbine, a wind turbine, that is, resides within the facility on which students can do actual training on.
SABC is in the business of training South Africa's future renewable energy experts, providing short courses and workshops designed to meet international industry standards. And it's the only facility in the country to provide accredited training.
At SABC, we're slightly different than we're part of CPUT, but in a way we differ slightly in that we focus a lot on practical. And when our students go out here, we actually want them to be practically competent, to be able to do the jobs. So that's the big difference. I think at least 50% of what they do here is practical. But you obviously, before you can do any practical, you need to cover theory. And we cover theory, and safety is a huge aspect in the energy industry. And it's the same for the wind energy industry. Safety is very important. So that's what we would cover. In the hydraulics lab, we obviously the wind turbines is a machine, so it's got different mechanical systems in it. And what we find in the wind turbine, there's lots of hydraulic systems in it. And here we simulate, because students are going to work in the future on hydraulic systems. In the hydraulic lab, we would simulate similar systems that you would find in the wind turbine.
The training team consists of 15 members, each with a qualification in either mechanical engineering or electrical engineering, and the courses offer hands-on experience to those involved.
I studied mechatronical engineering. I did my BTech at CPUT. And the way that's coming in Ceratec is basically the knowledge that we gained during my studies. We are being shown how to apply that in the wind industry on doing maintenance and work on a wind turbine, the gearbox and the inverters and the generators and so on. The fact that I know our population is increasing, the power we need to sustain ourselves is increasing as well, and at the current rate, we are ruining our Earth. So I think renewable energy plays a big role in a clean tomorrow, especially since we need more and more power as the population is growing.
The renewable energy sector has been lauded as being the key to job creation in South Africa. And with world-class facilities such as Ceratec at the helm, it is clear that the future of the industry is in good hands.
There are many ways to conserve energy, and it's something that needs to become part of our daily lives. Up next are our stylish brothers and sisters in this week's Street Style.
For me, style is self-expression. Even more so, street style is a combination of taking different silhouettes and making them look proper for street fashion, which means it has to be functional, it has to cover you at all times.
Style to me is a reflection of your inner self. So me being Muslim, it would be dressing modestly, but fashionably.
I would define my style as street fashion as well as a more formal, dapper look.
My style can sometimes be described as eccentric. Otherwise, I love elements of fun, I like color, I like something a little funky or unconventional. I'm a self-confessed scarf addict. So whenever I choose an outfit, I choose the scarf first. It's got a satin finish, it's got beautiful florals, and it's got a lovely lace detail, which is a bit bohemian. The outfit I'm wearing today, it's a wrap over, so it's slimming, it's elegant and feminine.
First of all, I started with the sneakers. I think sneakers are very important because that's how I move through the city. And then I went with socks. I chose these socks to complement the sneakers I chose. A darker blue denim, a shirt, and these glasses to make me look more professional. I picked this jacket today because it felt quite nippy when I left the house.
So the statement necklace has got a bit of color, it ties in with the scarf, with the orange, as well as with my shoes. So which is the fun element I like to put in.
I always wear a tasbih with me, either on my neck or on my wrist. Well, today it made sense to wear it on my wrist because I'm wearing a shirt. Being a Muslim influences my style in that I'm always covered up, always try to look presentable, and I'm always clean.
If you have a friend or family member who is a stylist, then send us a pic via social media and we might feature them on the show. Prostate cancer sounds scary, but it can be combated quite easily with the correct treatment and early detection. We got to learn more about the disease.
Prostate cancer is one of the most common forms of cancer with one of the highest mortality rates found amongst men in South Africa. It is estimated that 1 in 6 men will be diagnosed with prostate cancer sometime in their lives.
Prostate cancer is the second commonest cancer amongst men in South Africa. Unfortunately, we don't have South Africa statistics. We only have statistics in America. What it is basically an abnormal growth of the prostate gland. So we know that all men have our prostate gland. It's located below the bladder. As the urine comes out, it goes into the bladder, through the prostate, and excreted through the urethra. The prostate is there to help with the semen and to help fertilization. And unfortunately, in certain circumstances, which we do not understand completely, the prostate undergoes changes and you have the abnormal growth of this prostate gland. Now, most times, 70% of times, it tends to be benign. but in the other 30%, it turns to malignant. So what that basically means is that these abnormal cells, they lose their control mechanisms and they start to grow uncontrollably. And as they grow uncontrollably, they can invade into the bladder, they can invade into the other tissue in the pelvic area, they can invade into the lymphatic nodes or even into the blood circulation and spread to the liver, the lungs, and even the bone as well.
Advances in medicine have, however, had an effect on the number of people dying from prostate cancer. Ismail Fife was diagnosed with it in 2004 and has since beaten the disease.
I didn't know how to handle it because as a male, I took it upon myself to absorb all the messages that were given to me and to me alone. And it was nobody else's business, if I could put it that way, what was happening to me. So I absorbed all those, all that information, whether it be good or bad, and it played on my mind. And the uncertainty rose. How am I going to deal with this? How is my family going to respond if I were to tell them that I had cancer? How's my children, who at the time were very young, how are they going to respond to their father? Because remembering, in the colored community and also in the Muslim community, those things are not very well spoken about. And yes, the beginning was very difficult because it was pressure on myself. I burdened all those pains on my own shoulders and carried my own cross, if I can put it that way. And it grew, and the despair grew, and came to a point where I almost committed suicide. I needed more information. I needed to fill my mind with what is the best route to go, the treatments I should undergo. I went to what we would call the normal routes by going to your oncologist and seeing the urologist and trying to play it safe. And I think it was through that I learned more about my experience, about my cancer, and how it can actually save my life instead of having this death threat on my shoulders all the time when it's not actually a death threat.
Early screening and detection has become one of the best methods to diagnose and to treat prostate cancer. Educating people is at the forefront of this, and Ismail has taken it upon himself to do just this.
I, like so many, was still with the attitude of, oh, I don't have long to live. And the new lease on life came about when I formed with an associate, when we formed Cancer. That new lease on life was because now I can play a pivotal role for men and be their voice with cancer, because men don't really like to speak about cancer. We've changed that now to be an educating department or an educating group as well as a support group. When I say education, is we go into schools nationally. We educate teenagers and university students when it comes to testicular cancer. Before, our parents used to tell us not to talk about it. Now we're telling our children to talk about it. My sons and I, we have a fantastic relationship, absolutely fantastic. My eldest, in fact, when I got divorced by my wife, and I say shukran to her for leaving the children with me because she knew of the state of cancer I was in, and I couldn't fend for myself. Yes, she went and created her own wonderful life, alhamdulillah she did. But she left the two things and she knew that meant the world to me was my two boys. And they were my pillar when I was going through my cancer treatment.
Hospitals are well equipped to deal with as well as treat prostate cancer patients.
Prostate cancer is not necessarily a death sentence. It does depend on the stage. And this is why we emphasize to have your checkups done on a regular basis. The earlier we can actually catch this, the better the chance of a cure and the better the chance of survival. If we wait and wait and wait, the prostate cancer enlarges, it spreads, and it leads from a stage 1 to a stage 4. And once it's reached stage 4, we know that we can't cure this. We can treat it. Definitely treatable, but not curable.
There are currently 4,000 new cases being recorded every year. An alarming fact is that many of these cases could be treated effectively had the patient done 1 or 2 screenings a year to detect if they had prostate cancer. Now is the time to get yourself tested and ensure that you will have many more years to spend with your loved ones.
Please, my brothers, remember that screening yourself regularly will help minimize the threats of contracting prostate cancer. Our books, tech and app segment is up next, ready to make life simpler.
New Directions in Islamic Education, Identity Formation is written by Muslim educator Abdullah Sahin. With an extensive background in Islamic studies, theology and education, Sahin examines the link between pedagogy and the development of religious identities from the Islamic perspective. Based on pragmatic research, the book explores the philosophy, theology and social subtleties which encompasses Muslim education, thought and traditions. The Honeywell's Tuxedo Touch is the state-of-the-art home controller, centralizing all home electronics into one easy-to-use touchscreen device. With the Tuxedo Touch, you will be able to control your security system, cameras, lighting, blinds, and locks via built-in voice commands and smartphone remote services. Numerous Android applications have been designed to keep track of the insignificant aspects of daily life. The Kamardeen app helps you observe what really counts: personal spiritual development. With Kamardeen, you can take record of the prayers, Quran reading, charity, and fasting you have completed throughout the day. The app is password protected, ensuring privacy in accessing your progress. Download the free app and you'll be certain about where your improvements and growth in faith has been made.
Chocolate brownies remain one of my favorite sweet treats, and Lemise Dutoy has a simple recipe that'll fill the spot in no time.
You know those cold wintry nights when everybody's in the mood for something sweet and no one's in the mood to go and make it? This is one of those easy fix recipes that get you chocolate brownies in 9 minutes flat. So what do you need to make these decadent chocolate brownies? I've got 125 grams of butter or margarine, 1 cup of flour, and that's self-raising flour. I've got 1 cup of brown sugar. I've got 1.5 wheat bix. This is part of what makes it so easy. If you don't have the wheat bix, I'd prefer that you substituted it with pecans or hazelnuts. But if you're going to use any of those, then don't use the wheat bix or your brownie is going to be too hard. I've got a handful of coconut, so that's about 3 tablespoons of coconut. Those are delicious for texture, just another dimension to the brownies. And then I've got 2 heaped tablespoons of cocoa powder, 1 whole egg, and to enhance the flavor of the cocoa, because nothing brings out chocolate more than coffee, I've got 1 teaspoon of instant coffee that I've just mixed with a bit of boiling water and a teaspoon of vanilla essence. Now, one of those recipes that I like, as you all know, throw everything into a bowl and mix well. So I'm going to start off with my brown sugar, self-raising flour, and nothing needs to be sifted. The only hard part in this recipe is to squash. And that's just break up your wheat bix. Our coconut. Now the nice thing about coconut is this is desiccated coconut. You could use fresh coconut or you could choose to leave it out completely. And I'm just going to do about a handful. 2 tablespoons of cocoa powder. And remember, the nicer your cocoa, the better quality cocoa powder you use, the more chocolatey it is. I've got 1 whole egg. And then I've got my instant coffee mix. It would be even nice if you used an espresso, some vanilla essence, and now we mix. Don't overmix your brownies. You just want them all to mix nicely. And what I'm going to do is put this into a Pyrex or any microwavable dish. I've lined this with batter, just using my finger. Sprinkle on a bit of cocoa powder so that it doesn't stick. It should work nicely in about a 20 centimeter pan. I didn't have one, so this is short on the sides and slightly longer on the ends. So that just means I'm going to shorten my cooking time because I've got a larger surface area. So spread that evenly. Now the only trick to this brownies, and it's not something that I can teach you, but rather something you're gonna have to figure out on your own, is know your microwave. You want to cook this for about 7 minutes on a medium heat. So that's about 540 degrees, 540 watts if you have a 900 watt microwave. So if you know how to turn down to a medium or low heat, that's the way to do it. You don't want to nuke this on a high heat because you can have burnt brownies in the middle and they're going to be rock hard. Easy peasy, 7 minutes, 540, and we're done. $540, enter. 7 minutes, and start. So the brownies have just beeped to say that they're done. And what I need to do now is I've got 100 grams of milk chocolate and 100 grams of dark chocolate that I've melted, and I'm adding to this some Nestle dessert cream. And this is just going to form a chocolate ganache that's going to be a decadent topping at the top of our brownies. I'm just going to mix this, form a nice, pliable, smooth paste. And while my brownies are still hot, which they are, I'm going to spoon this over the top. So some of it will sink in, and the rest of it will just gently sit on the top. And the only thing that this needs is a warm cup of cocoa and a snuggy blanket and the rest of your family. So until next time, Assalamu alaikum.
That is definitely going onto my bucket list of things to make. Recipes are available on our Facebook page, so get baking. From me, Maria Mukwanda, Salang Hantle, Assalamu alaikum.